everybody, this video is for anybody who experiences wrist pain or discomfort when they're doing their yoga practice or working out. Today I'm going to go over some really simple options to help you work around that. I'm Janine from Win with Yoga, fitness and flexibility expert for women over 50. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe, hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime that we release one of these awesome videos. So getting back to the wrists, I get lots of inquiries, most commonly for options. What else can I do for downward facing dog, for a plank position, or anything in a tabletop? So I'm going to start with those, and then I'll give you a couple more options for some of the other poses too, where your hands are on the floor. So to get started, let's start with a tabletop position. Now, first of all, if you are practicing on something that is squishy, like not a firm surface, a carpet, a thick mat that squishes down, the grass, the sand, it is going to make it more challenging for your wrists. So if your hands and your forearms are not super strong, and I can tell you from doing this a long time that is what I usually see, that the hands and the forearms need to be strengthened, and that will be for another video, but strengthening these areas is going to help support the wrists and help you move out of pain. Now, I know that there's many of you out there that have arthritis in your hands, in your wrists, and those things can be worked around to a certain degree, so I'm going to modify for that as well. But the first thing that you want to do is make sure you're on a firm surface. Secondly, if you do have arthritis or stiffness, make sure to do a little bit of warming up. And this can be simply like squeezing and opening your fists. Do that 10 to 20 times. Circling your wrists. You do both directions, 10 times one way, 10 times the other way. Pointing the fingers up, pointing the fingers down. Anything like that to just start to get the synovial fluid. There's a lot of small, tiny bones in the hands and wrists. You want to get that synovial fluid moving in there. Even a hot shower, if you notice that your hands start to work better after a hot shower or washing the dishes in warm water, go ahead and do a little bit of that first to start to get those joints lubricated. Okay, so next thing, tabletop. If you're coming into tabletop and you can get the hands flat on the floor and you're noticing that you're in discomfort when the shoulders are forward, first of all, make sure the shoulders aren't forward more than the wrist, because this is going to create more bend in the wrist here, and that could cause discomfort. So either right over the shoulders over the wrist, or bring the shoulders a little behind the wrist. So you're going to see I'm lessening the angle at the wrist joint by keeping my shoulders back a little bit more. So you can simply do this here for your cats and your cows, for your bird dog positions, all can be done from there. Your planks can even be done from here, your modified planks, and also then downward facing dog. So that's number one. Number two is, how are you rooting your hands? Now, I'm not going to go into this in great detail here because we have another video where I talk about exactly how to root your hands in these positions so that you minimize the pressure and the intensity coming into the wrist joint. So make sure to check out that video where I give you expert tips for your wrists. And I'm going to put that, you'll see it in one of the cards here, but I also put that link in the description. So if this doesn't work for you with the shoulders back, with the hand rooting, then you can always come onto your forearms. All right, now for tabletop, you can see it's not ideal because my shoulders are way lower than my hips now. So you can simply do a couple of things. If you have yoga blocks, you can turn them up and put your forearms on them. I like this one. Your shoulders are still a little lower, so it's not my favorite, and the hands just drift off down this way. So I would try and keep them up and at least build some strength in the wrists here. Or you could simply use a step stool or be creative at your house. It just needs to be firm so that it's not going to slide around. And you want to get this so that the height is as if you had your arms down on the ground. Now this one's pretty close. Now ideally I would use two of these so that my forearms could be shoulder distance wide. Now you can see that I'm good to go. For a tabletop position, cat and cow, I could do my bird dogs, it's all here. You could also do your planks here. You flex your feet, you can be in plank. If you can handle it, you remove this and you do your planks on your forearms on the floor. Simple like that. You could also go from your plank to your downward facing dog. This is a challenging position with the forearms down, so I am going to give another option. But for those of you, if it works, here's your plank, and then you could simply go to downward facing dog. Now, the forearm position for the downward dog often runs into a couple of things. One, if the shoulders aren't mobile enough, that can be really rough on the shoulders. And if you're tight through the back of the body, through your hamstrings, through your glutes, through your low back, that can be a really tough one. So what you can simply do for downward facing dog is place your hands on your step stool or the back of your couch, the seat of a chair, and use that to create your downward facing dog shape. Now, again, I would prefer to have 2 of these so that my hands can be shoulder distance wide and I can mimic that downward dog. Now, the lower I have my hands, the more intensity. I can raise them up to give me less intensity, which also gives you a great modification if you're easing into downward facing dog. And in downward facing dog, you have a lot of your weight coming on the upper body. So again, that hand rooting is going to be key. And then the angle, you can take that up as you're working on your hand and wrist strength, and you can modify it from there. So I could even put them up on something like this, the back of a couch. You could even do it on a countertop. You could put your hands on the side of your bed. So you can be creative here. The main thing you're going to want to do, though, is keep the palms rooted, keep the wrist angle long, and then you can start to work the position from there. All right, so really super simple. And then I should add that from your down dog, you could come forward and start to see, now I can really modify how much pressure am I putting forward into the hands. And simply doing something like this that I'm doing, this little shift forward and back, you can start to develop strength and that great rooting through your forearms, wrists, and hands. So there's lots to be gained with these modifications, and they also make it easier for you to practice, and you don't have to say, oh, I can't do that pose because of my wrist. Sure you can. You just have to modify it a little bit so that it works for you. So there you go, guys. Those are your basic modifications for downward dog, tabletop, and plank. I'm going to add one more. You could always do these on your fists. So I could simply do tabletop here. I could do my modified plank. I could do my full plank. This doesn't work for everyone, but if that works for you, that's a great option. Just notice one thing. See how straight my wrist is here? Right? I'm not into the pinky finger with the wrist break there. So I'm really getting the weight right here into my index and middle fingers, and then that's where I can keep, and thumb crossed in front. That's where I can keep that nice and strong. And I'm again gonna build hand, wrist, and forearm strength by practicing in that way. The downward dog one on that is a little tough. I mean, I can do it. You could try it, but again, now you have some other options and you can pick the one that works best for you. And if you have a comment about this, if you have a question about this, just hit me up in the comments below. I love to answer your questions. I love to reach out. I don't always get to everything for everybody, so just let me know about that. Okay, so last thing here is sometimes when you're doing your practices and we're doing things like a lunge and the hands are on the floor and there's a lot of weight into the palms, simply use that other modification. Go on your fist or go on your fingertips. So if you're doing like a full lunge or a revolving lunge where the bottom hand would stay down, the hand doesn't have to be flat. Come up on your fingertips or go onto your fist. So you can really make those modifications for yourself. All right. So if you enjoyed this video today, if you're finding these things helpful, one, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you want to hear more of. And two, go ahead and check out our Fit and Flexible for Life program. If you like this way of teaching where we're giving you lots of options so you can adjust for your needs and your body and where you are, you're going to love Fit and Flexible for Life. It's a 30-day program of 10-minute routines you'll actually do. It's for women over 50 who are ready to get their strength, stamina, and balance back. even if you're not limber or if you have previous injuries. So all you have to do to check that out is go head over to fitandflexibleforlife.com, and I will include that link in the description below as well. Again, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, you know all the things to do. And like I said earlier, if you want another video for the wrist, check out this one. If you want one that takes out the wrist completely, check out this one over here. And I'll see you back here real soon.